Hello, everybody. Welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having a fantastic day. I'm away. I have some stuff to do, have some errands to run. However, wanted to make sure that there was still a video for everyone out there. And without further ado, I'll let you jump right into it. It says a potpourri, of reactions continues to fill the Bitcoin community following the launch of Ordinals, that is Ordinals, I don't know how else to say that, an NFT-like protocol on top of the Bitcoin blockchain. Ex-Bitcoin developer Casey Odarmore made public the release of Ordinals on the 21st of January in a blog post titling it Inscribing Mainnet, Sparking Criticisms from a Sector of Bitcoin Maximalists. I mean, to be very clear, these are Bitcoin maximalists who perceive the development anti-ethical to the core values of the network. Let me explain. Back in the good old days of 2017, when, we were all rather naive of what was going to be happening to this market, a lot of people began to make proposals for the future of Bitcoin. As it is a decentralized network, these proposals often have to be voted on in order for them to actually get through anywhere in the Bitcoin cryptocurrency space. However, a number of these proposals were shut down, thrown apart. Nobody wanted to deal with them. It is historically noted that allegedly a lot of very famous people within the cryptocurrency space, the most famous of them being Vitalik Buterin, used to work on the Bitcoin protocol as well. However, he wanted to change it, he wanted to update it, he wanted to upgrade it, and they basically were like, no, that's never going to happen. So the rumor is that he ended up leaving and went to go on to create Ethereum. The same exact thing holds true for, allegedly, Charles Hoskinson was working on the Ethereum protocol. He had some ideas, he wanted to change some stuff, they told him no, he left and made Cardano. So, Bitcoin maximalists, and you need to understand what that term means. These people believe that Bitcoin is the only cryptocurrency, that every other coin out there is simply a gimmick, a copy, or is a database. You think I'm joking? I'm not. I've spoken to Bitcoin maximalists and they are quite intense. The point is that the Bitcoin blockchain is never supposed to be updated or upgraded. Why, you might ask? Well, because a lot of other times for other coins, other projects, when updates or upgrades do happen, sometimes they break. Sometimes the code is written incorrectly. Sometimes there may be a half of a 14th of a line written into the code that somewhere down the line could be exploited. So the idea is, as Bitcoin currently is, the main blockchain, everything seems to be honky-dory. Everything seems to be in order. And they know that, we know that, regardless of the 3 transactions per second that Bitcoin has, it is still capable of transacting trillions of dollars worth of value per year. The idea is you don't want to change that. You want to make sure that as slow and robust, if you will, as Bitcoin currently is, that it continues doing what it does. If you update or upgrade the main chain, and 8 years down the line, someone finds an exploit, well, guess what, buddy boy? All those trillions of dollars goes down the drain because people stop trusting Bitcoin. How do you get them to trust Bitcoin? You leave it exactly as it is so that it remains stable, it remains slow, but with other chains and side chains and layer 2s and the Lightning Network, we can have quicker transactions without having to compromise anything happening on the main Bitcoin chain. I think I explained that pretty clearly. According to Odarmore, Ordinals is a protocol that assigns trackable serial numbers to Satoshis. These Satoshis can then be added to digital assets like video or audio and stored in a Bitcoin transaction system through a process called Encryption. Odarmore says his work was born out of the inspiration to create something that would strike people as being Bitcoin native, not as a side chain and without an additional token. You know how I feel about that. Every time someone creates a new sidechain or protocol or layer 2, they all have their own coin. We don't need another coin. We already have the coins that we have. The release of Ordinals, however, struck the wrong chords among many people. Chief among them were criticisms for the project is its potential to abuse the network and populate its block size with financially irrelevant storage. The idea is that Bitcoin is meant to be a storage payment method. You're meant to just use Bitcoin as a store of value and sending money back and forth or value back and forth. However, if you start making sure that in between people are linking Satoshis as another transaction to a picture of their girlfriend that they want to put on the blockchain forever, that could then potentially slow down Bitcoin even more. Financially irrelevant storage, something remotely sacrilegious to pro-Bitcoiners who want the Apex blockchain to maintain its financial purity. Though not the first time that NFTs have been introduced or tried to be introduced on the blockchain, the argument against onboarding other blockchain users to protect Bitcoin's sole financial purposes dates back to 2010. This can go on forever and forever and forever. A lot of people have been trying to, it will never happen. I don't know how to make that any clearer in any possible potential way. There will never be an upgrade to Bitcoin's core unless something really has to change, especially as we have seen that other layers basically do the job in the way that other people need them to. So yeah, as it stands right now, people are trying to make this a thing. I think it's simply a proposal. Let's see if it actually ends up going through. I know a lot of people have been asking for NFTs on Bitcoin. You can do them on other layers, on other chains, and the finality of the transaction gets finished on the Bitcoin blockchain anyway. But yeah, a lot of people aren't too happy with that, just so you know. That's the ex-Bitcoin developer Casey Ordamore. I don't know. All right. Let's move on. Also in the news, Chamath Palihapitiya says that markets are likely to witness more bursts to the upside following the recent comments of the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell in an all-new all-in podcast episode. Okay, the venture capitalist says that the statements made by the chairman during the Federal Open Market Committee meeting last week indicated that the Federal Reserve is beginning to ease the pace of future rate hikes. He said in December, Powell was extremely hawkish, and he was basically like, listen, we're going to keep rates higher than you like and longer than you want, and he was pretty clear, and the markets reacted. And then around 35 or 40 days later, he essentially said we have 2 25 basis point hikes left, and he's going to try to stick the landing essentially. So we've already gone through 125 base point hike. I've gone over this 1,000 times. I want you to understand what's happening in the world and with economics right now. And we essentially have one more rate hike to go. And then the rest of the year is probably going to be absolutely insane. He said, even though the rest of the language in his entire speech and the press conference, if you read it in the absence of his body language, so if you read the transcript, would seem pretty hawkish as well. But the reality was he's basically capitulated. And then the market essentially said, okay, we're at the end of this thing. We talk about this before, but the markets tend to bottom 6 to 9 months before it's clear that you could have done this. And so we're a little bit off to the races in the short term. This guy is incredibly popular. Chamath, every time he breathes heavily, people look in his direction to see what he's going to be talking about. He's the guy who is very, very famous. He was on TV one time. I think it was on CNBC, and someone was trying to be a smart aleck, and they were asking him a question. And they said, "What do you plan on doing when Bitcoin hits $500,000?" And he was like, "I'm going to buy the Hamptons." And they were like, "What?" Yeah. So this guy apparently has so much Bitcoin. He basically says he wants to buy up, and I dare paraphrase here, all of, or as much as he can buy of the Hamptons. So he's sitting on a pretty penny. Yeah, we are. This is the This is the event that everyone has essentially been waiting for the last year and some change. And we keep getting so much discussion around the entire idea. So it looks like we only have one more hike left to go. Should be happening in March, and that gives us April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. That gives us 9 months after that to kind of have fun, if I can say that. And then probably around the end of the year and or January, we should be hearing from the Fed again to see if they have to take any more action. But, you know, I like to believe that there are very interesting, good times ahead. That's the Chamath Palihaptia says that we are going to see more bursts to the upside. Not very far off. And yeah, let's move on. In like weird dystopian, I don't know, kind of news, the International Criminal Police Organization, or the ICPO, otherwise known as Interpol, is investigating how it could police crimes that take place in the metaverse. I rolled my eyes, you didn't see it. However, a top Interpol executive believes there are issues with defining a metaverse crime. Exactly. According to the BBC, Interpol Secretary General Jürgen Stock revealed the agency's intent to oversee criminal activities on the metaverse. Stock highlighted the ability of sophisticated and professional criminals to adapt to new technology tools for committing crimes. The move to police the metaverse comes nearly 4 months after the Interpol launched their own metaverse. For those of you who don't remember this, yeah, it looks cringy because it is. They're trying to do some really weird, what's that movie where Tom Cruise is like with the people who are laying in milk and he's like moving stuff? It's not called Top Criminal. Future Crimes. FinCEN. Tom Cruise movie. Minority Report. Got it. Look at that. Listen. You all thought I was crazy talking about milk people, but I still end up getting, I'm pretty sure they were laying in milk. I think that was a part of the movie that these people were laying. Anyway, they were triplets laying in milk. The point is, this was quite popular news. I would like to assume that it's because people were like having a laugh at it, but I think people were like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a thing. The metaverse is not going to be one thing. The metaverse is not one place that, you know, it's not like London. Like you go to London, you're in London. The metaverse will be thousands of different things that will be interconnected in some sort of way. Part of the problem is regulators are so desperate to figure out ways to constantly control stuff because that this is basically going to be one of the weirdest things in the entire world. They're gonna try and find a way to discover crimes or criminals or things happening within metaverses, but like, what does that even mean? Because most definitions for crimes that we have right now typically tend to take place in like a physical manner, i.e. someone is selling or distributing or doing something with, you know, with themselves, with their hands, shipping it out, buying it, you know, what have you. You use your imagination there. But the idea that like me hanging out with my friends, there would be like someone standing behind us listening to what we're doing to try and figure out if we're doing something wrong. It's just so weird. And I just wish that we lived in a world where like, imagine if these people actually paid attention to the real stuff that's happening in the real world and took care of that so that we lived in a better world as opposed to trying to figure out and create their own metaverse to have people policing inside of a digital world. Maybe my imagination just doesn't go that far. Maybe I simply can't understand what people would want to do in a digital world that they could do in a physical world and make more money with. Maybe I lack total and complete imagination, probably on that front. But this was relatively popular news because a lot of people were like, "Oh my gosh, now we have to worry about Interpol," and it's like, this is why I like to mention that as long as it's decentralized, you should be totally fine. I'll shut up here because my mind can't conceptualize what someone would want to do in a metaverse that could be deemed illegal. But, you know, I also open up Pokemon cards, so can't really. Anyway, that's the Interpol has made their own metaverse, and they're gonna be, I don't know, these people are crazy. Like, find something else to do, like actually solve a real crime that, that's hurting people around the world. All right, let's move on. Also in the news, Lightning Network, the layer 2 payment network built on top of the Bitcoin blockchain, has reached a brand new all-time high in terms of capacity, or the amount of Bitcoin locked inside of its payment channels. The payment channel capacity on the Lightning Network has grown by 63% since the beginning of last year. According to data from The Block, currently the network has over 5,490 BTC locked inside of it, up from the 3,350 on the 1st of January of last year. This is being seen as a positive sign for of course it is. The number went up. Of course it's a positive sign for who writes these things. So you might remember 2 weeks ago, we had news that the blockchain Avalanche actually has more Bitcoin locked inside of it than the Lightning Network. So my assumption is that people got wind of that news and they began to throw more Bitcoin onto the actual Lightning Network. So that's a really weird thing, that Lightning has been around since like 2018, and Avalanche in like a year and some change actually ended up getting more Bitcoin on it than the thing. Like, the Lightning Network is instantaneous. The transaction fee for a Lightning transaction ranges anywhere from like 1 to 50 Satoshis. It's literally like 4.5 cents. So, right. The Lightning Network is a second layer payment protocol built on top of the Bitcoin blockchain, designed to enable fast and cheap micropayments by allowing participants to transact directly without the need for immediate settlement on the blockchain. It operates as a bi-directional payment channel between participants, allowing for off-chain transactions that are eventually settled on the Bitcoin blockchain. So I had assumptioned back in 2019 that the Lightning Network I thought we'd have around a good 15 to 20,000 Bitcoin locked inside of it at this point. There are countries like literally using Strike's app with the Lightning Network on it to send Bitcoin payments, but we'll get there eventually, because at some point the Lightning Network will be capable of doing 1 million transactions per second. I don't see that number anywhere anymore. And I think it would, I think so. Anyway, English. The original idea for the Lightning Network was that as more people are using it, eventually we would get to the point where mathematically Bitcoin is able to do 1 million transactions per second because of the Lightning Network. Why do we not see a number right now? If Bitcoin has 5,490 Bitcoin inside of it, what does that equate to as transactions per second? I feel like even if it's something like 840 transactions per second, people would be able to throw that number out and say, like, we've moved up from 3 transactions per second to 890. But no one ever talks about like what the actual movement on the network is like now, like how many transactions we are able to do with the 5,490 locked up inside of it. Does anyone have a number? Is there an article somewhere that someone can send to me on Twitter? Because I remember asking this before, even about the Cardano blockchain and how many transactions per second. And people were like, you can batch multiple transactions inside of one transaction. But I'm like, that's not what I'm asking. I'm not asking you I'm asking you how many oranges are on that table, not how many can you hold in your arm and therefore one person's holding. No, like I want to know like actual numbers. Because if the goal is 1 million transactions think of that. 3 transactions per second to 1 million transactions per second on Bitcoin. That's a gigantic leap. Are we like at 10,000? Are we at 18,420 transactions per second? That's how you get more people to move on to Bitcoin and use stuff on Bitcoin and use the Lightning Network and build websites and stuff on top of the Lightning Network, because they go, well, that other chain over there, they do 3,000 transactions, but Lightning is doing 18,000. It's built on top of Bitcoin. You understand what I'm saying? Like we need more numbers like this floating around so we can even have a more accurate metric. We know that Bitcoin is transacting trillions of dollars on the blockchain every year, but what else? What's going on? What's after that? That's the Lightning Network news. Cool. I'm glad the number went up and didn't go down. That'd be a little scary, not a good sign. But it did. It went up. Yay! All right, anyway, that's the Bitcoin news. Let's move on. Also in what? That's crazy. Potential buyers are now showing interest in the embattled cryptocurrency lending company known as Halien Knot. I thought that Halien Knot was a person. I'm not going crazy, right? I thought Halien Knot was like a person on Twitter. Okay. And its claims against the now bankrupt digital asset exchange known as FTX. According to a Monday report by Bloomberg, various parties who are interested in acquiring the Singapore-based crypto platform have reached out to the interim judicial managers overseeing the company after it sought protection from creditors. The report, which cited an affidavit, says that the judicial managers are in the process of signing non-disclosure agreements with the interested parties who have inquired about purchasing Halien Knot. Not too interesting, but a lot of people, this was also very big news. I am not the only one. I can't be. Is Halien Knot a person? Is that not a brand name? Like not like a company, but like for some reason I thought Halien Knot was like a person online, like on Twitter or something. So anyway, Halien Knot is allegedly saying that they allegedly didn't do well because of FTX, because it's like the easiest thing in the world to blame right now. Oh no, I didn't go buy groceries because of FTX. Oh my gosh, Sam Bankman-Fried, what are you doing, dude? Like, get out of my life. Like, it's kind of that kind of thing. And now people are trying to buy it, but there are non-disclosure agreements. But I almost want to bet my bottom dollar that I can probably figure out who one of the bidders is. I would say it ends with an onse and begins with a B. Simply because they're kind of buying up everything right now. And I wouldn't be shocked if people looked into numbers or information and found out that they were trying to buy them before. And now because they've collapsed, if you've watched my other videos, you know what's going on. So that's the Halien Knot. Apparently is not a person. It's a crypto lender. They've collapsed. And now people are trying to secretly buy some of their assets because that's just how crypto works. Wonderful. That's the Halien Knot news. I'm telling you, I thought it was a person. All right. Let's move on. Also in news that was extremely popular, the world's leading blockchain ecosystem, what? Okay, Binance has officially announced the launch of something called Binance Tax, a crypto tax calculator that helps estimate and comprehend the user's crypto tax liabilities at no cost. On the 6th of February, Binance posted the updates of the new tool on its official page that focuses on simplifying the confusing, cumbersome, and time-consuming processes involved in tax filing and calculation. Interestingly, the platform detailed the difficulty of the computation of tax, commenting, saying, "Scouring the spreadsheet and computing all of your transactions, gains, and losses throughout the past year can be, well, taxing for day traders who normally deal with thousands of transactions yearly. This means putting in extended hours and stress to ensure the accuracy of their filings come tax reporting time." As per the blog post, the Binance Tax helps calculate the tax liabilities of up to 100,000 Binance transactions. It is all added that at present the tool is made only available for Canada and France. Oh joy. Cool. This was very popular news. I assume Binance is trying their best to be as regulatorily compliant as possible. I don't assume this was created to, hear me out here, to really help anyone, because I think we would have had something like this years ago. However, in an effort to continue shaking hands with presidents and leaders and dictators. This is kind of what you got to do to make sure that everyone is as regulatorily compliant as humanly possible. So yeah, very popular news. It only affects here and France, so that's cool. And yeah, that's the Binance has launched Binance Tax news. Wonderful. Let's move on. Yeah. I hope that you all have a great day, or maybe even having one. Maybe you already had a great day. Maybe you're home right now. I do hope it's wonderful, awesome, fantastic, spectacular. I hope it was really cool. If you're just starting your day, I hope it begins awesomely. Hope your boss isn't at boss work and maybe somewhere else, so you can have a little bit of a more relaxing day. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, commenting, subscribing, and or supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.